Hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far. I just wanted to take a minute before I get started to say thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me, get to know me a little bit more, get to know where I came from, how I got started with coaching, what it means to me, all of that. So just thank you so much. And then I'm just going to go ahead and dive in. I wanted to kind of start my journey in college. I was a two-sport athlete, so I actually played soccer and lacrosse in college for 2 years. And then I went vegetarian my freshman year and vegan my junior year. So I was always in shape because I had to be ready, like game ready, but that does not mean by any means that I was fueling my body properly. I was putting the right foods into my body, and I had no confidence because I gained the classic freshman 15 and it actually ended up being about 20 pounds over my college career. So I gained a lot of weight, and it was just from binge drinking, binge eating, terrible sleep schedule, and no consistency. I had lost all of my confidence. I couldn't put on a pair of jeans without thinking my legs looked too big. I couldn't put on a tank top to go out on the weekends without changing my shirt 5 times and without having doubts about what my arms looked like. And I lost all my confidence, and I was actually a yo-yo dieter for about 5 years. So I was back and forth and back and forth. I would get my shit together, and then I would lose all my consistency. It was just back and forth for 5 years. I couldn't find something to keep me consistent and to get me that confidence back. So fast forward a little bit to a year after I graduated, I moved to New York City and took a job. I was making an income that was well below the poverty level. I was living in a really crappy housing situation. I was on food stamps, and I was working a job that after a few months, I realized I didn't like, and I just was not passionate about it at all. It didn't fill me up. It didn't give me purpose. And I felt like it was the most restricting element of my life. I was commuting 45 minutes each way. My babysitting was my food money. And I was living in one of the most expensive cities in the world at well below the poverty level. So I thought to myself, all right, well, I have to find something else to make money. And I don't want it to be something where I'm going to be going to a bar or going to a restaurant and working late nights, working a schedule that's set by somebody else with no flexibility. I want to be able to travel on the weekends and go out with my friends at night and stuff like that. And I just didn't want to live by somebody else's schedule anymore. So that's when I came across coaching. And I really want you to know that I was so nervous about it. I had so many hesitations, so many questions, and at the end of the day, I thought to myself, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to try this because it ties in all of my interests. And so I just kind of thought, all right, that's it. I'm going to try it. So that was one of my 3 jobs. I was working coaching on the side of working a full 9-to-5 job on top of another job, on top of commuting. But I needed it. I needed the extra income, or I literally wouldn't have been able to afford my groceries. And I needed to feel fulfilled. I needed to feel something bigger than my desk job, where I would go, I would tear up walking into the office every day because I didn't want to be there. And I just knew I needed something more than sitting at a desk and staring at a computer. So I was building this business up on the side of all of this other stuff going on. And eventually, I just had to say to myself, Jackie, pump the brakes. Because how many times in my life have I told somebody else, don't work a job you don't like. Don't work a job you're not passionate about. Don't do things that don't fill your life. And I wasn't doing that. I was working a job that made me miserable, that made me cry going into the office. So I pumped the brakes. I said, girl, this is not you. And I took one of the biggest leaps of faith I have ever taken in my life. And I quit my job, and I decided to go coaching full time. So I was like, well, this is crazy bananas, but it was just right. It was right for me. I needed to do it. And I just felt, because of building coaching up on the side this whole time, I was falling in love with it for so many reasons. And I'm just gonna dive into all of these reasons because I think they're worth touching on. each and every one of them because they're all equally important to me in helping the fact that I fell in love with what I do. So the first thing is accountability. When I put myself out there and I had my Instagram account and I said like, all right, listen, everyone, I am finally going to lose the weight that I have been trying to lose for 5 years. I went public with it and I just said, listen, I'm going to lose this weight and I'm making my health a top priority in my life now. And that alone made me more consistent than I ever have been in my whole life. And we run, as coaches, they're called challenge groups. So having people looking to me as an example of what someone can do with their health and fitness made me that much more accountable. So I just got more accountable than I ever have been in my entire life, and I fell in love with that because I started to see results. So the second thing I fell in love with was the income potential. I was making, a few hundred here and there, and then a few hundred a week, and I fell in love with the idea that I can build my own 6-figure business on my own schedule, doing what I want, finding my own creative freedom, and I fell in love with that because sky's the limit. It's so doable. I am going to build a 6-figure business with this, and I don't care saying that because that's what I want. That's the direction I'm going in. So I just kind of fell in love with the income potential of it. The next two things that kind of made me fall in love with it are a little bit intertwined. So it's the team aspect and the fact that I am constantly, every single day, pushing myself to grow into a better human. So the team I work with is just this fabulous, amazing, incredible group of women that empower me every single day and push me and help me set goals and support me every single day. And the fact that they are supporting me and pushing me a little bit, I literally set goals for myself I never knew I could set. For my health, deadlines for myself as a business owner, all kinds of things. I have been pushed outside of my comfort zone every single day, and I have grown so much more in the past 5 months than I ever have. And I became just like obsessed with that constant personal development and personal growth. I also fell in love with the creative and schedule freedom of it. So obviously this is the kind of thing where you're your own boss. You set your own schedule. If you are traveling on the weekend, you can take the weekend off. If you only have an hour at night, you can do an hour. If you have 4 hours at night, you can do 4. I just fell in love with the fact that I didn't have deadlines set by somebody else. I was my own boss. I could work my own schedule whenever I wanted. And that just seems like that's too good to be true. Like my own work schedule, that's perfect. And then the creative freedom that it comes with. So if I want to make a YouTube channel, I can do that. If I want to make a blog, I can do that. How I want to motivate my challengers, I can also decide how I want to do that. So I just fell in love with like all the little tidbits of freedom you have in this business to do what you want with it. And then the last and maybe one of the biggest things that made me fall in love with this business is the fact that you are helping people change their lives and work towards their health goals every single day. I will constantly get text messages. I'm gonna tear up thinking about it. I got one last week that just kind of, set my soul on fire a little bit. And just you get messages of gratitude all the time from people that you were there for and you supported, and they have been able to change their lives and get their confidence back and get their energy back and be able to play with their kids again or be able to finally touch their toes. The messages of gratitude that you get are insane. There is no better feeling than knowing that you are helping someone change their life. It's incredible. So I fell in love with this business on the side because it was pushing me. I had freedom. I fell in love with the income potential of it, the team, the community, all of it. And just like my passion for health and fitness also, it tied in everything together. And so I fell in love with it. And that's why I knew I needed to quit my other job. So the timing was just kind of right for me. I just trusted my gut and I went for it because when you trust your gut, that's when your life starts. And when you take risks, I think that's truly when your life starts. So if anything, I hope this just kind of gave you an idea of where I've come from, what coaching has done for me, and the potential that it has to change your life physically, emotionally, mentally, income-wise, and every single level. This business has the potential to change you in just as many ways and more than it has mine. So I hope this kind of gave you a little bit more information. And if you do have specific questions for where I am now, I am more than happy to answer them. And I hope this was super helpful for you. All right, bye dudes, thanks.